Hello, everyone out there, and we're back with another episode of the AC Podcast. Oh boy, I've never seen anything like this in my life. What the Philadelphia Eagles have just done to me, what they've just done to this franchise, what Howie Roseman has done, I can't go to sleep with it on my mind. I just can't. I've been hurt today. The stuff that's been done today, it's unforgivable. And at this point, I'm done with Howie Roseman, the GM. He's got to be fired. He has to be fired for what he has done to the Philadelphia Eagles in this year's draft. I have never seen anything like what I've just witnessed today. This is flagrant negligence, utter stupidity, unwarranted lunacy, unparalleled nonsense what Howie Roseman, the GM, has just done to Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles organization. I'm speechless about what I just witnessed tonight in the second round of the draft. 53rd overall pick in the 2020 draft. I'm expecting to hear Denzel Mims' name called, Christian Fulton. And instead, I hear Jalen Hurts' name called as a 53rd overall pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. I can begin to count the ways that I'm about to destroy the Philadelphia Eagles, dismantle this pick, and the like, and just go off on a tirade. So I encourage you now, if you don't want to hear me talk for however long, because I don't know how long this is going to take, but I've got a lot of information to give you guys, so please just bear with me. Please be patient. I don't know how long this is going to take, but I ask those of you who are listening to just bear with me for a second as I proceed to give you a lot of facts and knowledge. You see, I'm not just going to get on here and act like some crazy fan and give you some long 45, 50-minute rant in anger. No, I'm going to give you facts behind my frustration because that's all I can do. You know, AC, he keeps it real. And that's all I can do right now is keep it real with you. So let's just get it started. Jalen Hurts chosen. Had no idea what the Eagles were doing. Had so many needs to address, obviously. Wide receiver, corner, safety, O-line. And for some odd reason, Jalen Hurts is the pick. And there is no way on God's green earth that is 75% water that Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson, whoever the heck else made this pick, can convince me that Jalen Hurts should have been chosen. There is no way that they can justify this pick to me. I don't care what they say. This is complete and utter ridiculousness, foolishness, negligence, complete lacking in their obligations and duties. This is just unacceptable. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Where do I start with this? Let's just start with Jalen Hurts himself. Let me start there. The fact that he was chosen 53rd overall, no other quarterback was taken in the second or third rounds, not Jake Fromm, not Jacob Eason, just makes me think what the heck the Philadelphia Eagles are doing with their draft board. Because in my estimation, Jalen Hurts was a third or fourth round pick. And in my estimation, I'm thinking if the Eagles didn't choose him, who the heck was? No one else chose a quarterback. New England seems like the only team that needs a quarterback, and they didn't even choose a quarterback. Maybe Jalen Hurts is rated higher than Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm. I'll give you that. Sure, we all know that. That's just an eyeball test at that point. But how in God's name could you choose Jalen Hurts with the 53rd overall pick, knowing you need to get receivers, knowing you need secondary help? This is unbelievable to me. To be what, a backup quarterback? Carson Wentz, since he was drafted, has played 87.5% of his starts. He's only missed 8 games, yet he's labeled injury prone because he got slapped upside his head by Jadeveon Clowney on a cheap shot. This pick just doesn't make sense for a multitude of reasons. You give Carson Wentz a big money extension over $100+ million. Clearly you weren't worried about his injuries then. But now all of a sudden you are because he got smacked upside his head on a cheap shot? That doesn't make any sense. That's point number 1 right there. Point number 2, how the heck do you plan on using Jalen Hurts? You spent a high second round pick on a guy that's not going to see the field more than 5 to 10% of the time. And for what? A gadget player? A guy that you want to use Taysom Hill like is what the Eagles said? Well, let me go ahead and eradicate that thought from Eagles fans' minds. But if Eagles fans weren't happy about this, they were mad. They were pissed. But let me go ahead and clarify that because I have a stat here that says Jalen Hurts was used as a wide receiver on 9 snaps in his entire career. So the thought that you can just put him in the Taysom Hill role, which is a hybrid kind of joker role on offense where you use him as a wide receiver, a tight end, a quarterback. The thought that Jalen Hurts can just be supplanted into that is just foolish because he's never done that. And if you think Jalen Hurts wants to be a receiver or a running back or a tight end, you're wrong. He wants to be a quarterback. So how's that going to work once all the dust settles and he gets over the fact that he just got drafted and got picked in the draft? He doesn't want to be a backup. He wants to be a starter. And there's no way in hell that he's starting over Carson Wentz. Now let's talk about this from Carson Wentz's point of view. If you're Carson Wentz, I believe you should walk into High Roseman's office the second that this coronavirus stuff is over and demand a trade. Matter of fact, his agent should be on the phone with High Roseman as soon as the 53rd pick came to fruition, and it was Jalen Hurts. They should have been on the phone requesting a trade because this makes no sense. You give this man $100+ million. This man leads you to the playoffs with lackluster receiving threats, mind you. Robert Davis, Greg Ward, Deontay Burnett, and the like. Leads you to the playoffs. Finally gets the monkey off his back of Nick Foles and being in that shadow after Nick Foles won the Super Bowl and everyone just forgot about Carson leading the Eagles to the number 1 seed that year. Just undermined all of his credibility, all of his credit that he put into the Eagles season. He gets over all that. Nick Foles wets the bed in Jacksonville, so the Eagles are validated by choosing Carson Wentz, obviously, over Nick Foles. He throws for 4,000 yards with a 500-yard receiver. First quarterback in NFL history to do that, which lets you know how god-awful your receivers are, how pathetic, how moribund, how disgraceful they were. And what do? You drive Jalen Hurts, undermining Carson Wentz's contract, undermining your belief in him to be durable. I just don't get it. That number 53 pick right there in the second round could have been used on Christian Fulton or Denzel Mims. I challenge anyone right now because the Eagles have had a terrible offseason. They've had an underwhelming offseason. And I've received a lot of texts and phone calls like, oh, Ron, AC. You guys are having a good offseason. You got Darius Slay. Yeah, you had to give up draft picks to get him. That's why I wanted Byron Jones. So you wanted to give up draft picks and we could have traded up in the draft yesterday to get CeeDee Lamb. Which I'm also going to address because now that just looks, now I'm mad about that all over again. I finally had come to peace this morning with the fact that we selected Jalen Reagor. I'm sure he's going to be a nice receiver. But CeeDee Lamb, he has the talent and the ability to take over football games in ways few wide receivers can. I likened it to only a few wide receivers I see in the league that can take over games and dominate games. I think CeeDee Lamb has that type of ability because I had him rated as the best receiver in the draft. Receivers that I was thinking about to take over games: Hopkins, Julio, Michael Thomas. I was thinking about something like that. So you gave Carson Wentz one of those guys? Can you imagine him with Zach Ertz over the middle and Dallas Goedert and Miles Sanders out the backfield with that offensive line? Something special. But it doesn't matter now because he's a Dallas Cowboy. I'm going to get to that in a second too. But needless to say, what have the Eagles done to help Carson Wentz this offseason? Because it seems like Jim Schwartz has pictures on someone in the Philadelphia Eagles front office because all the free agency moves and most of the draft moves have been done to help Jim Schwartz and his defense. You traded for Darius Slay. You got Javon Hargrave. You re-signed Rodney McLeod and Jalen Mills. What have you done for Carson Wentz? You got Jatavius Brown too, the linebacker. What have you done for Carson Wentz? What have you done for your $100 million plus investment? I have never seen such a flagrant amount of disrespect and negligence from a franchise that invests $100 million in something. Who invests $100 million in something and doesn't put a supporting cast around that investment? The Eagles just seem to be betting on Alshon Jeffrey coming back, who was running with a sack of potatoes and a truck on his back last year. Deshaun Jackson, who only played basically one game last year. Greg Ward, who's barely an NFL receiver, so don't even get me started there. Deontay Burnett? What? Whoever else is on the roster. I can't even think of the names right now, and I just said them. That's how irrelevant they are. No offense to their careers, but I just got to be honest. I just got to keep it real. What have you done for your $100 million investment? Except draft Jalen Reagor, an unproven commodity because he's a rookie. What have you done? Jalen Hurts doesn't help Carson Wentz right now. Denzel Mims could have done that. This just doesn't make any sense to me. How on God's green earth could you draft a quarterback knowing you don't need one? Knowing that you have a Pro Bowl to all pro caliber quarterback. Knowing that you have the second most gifted thrower of the football other than Patrick Mahomes. And then yesterday you take Jalen Reagor, and it seems like to me that you could have got CeeDee Lamb, or you should have got CeeDee Lamb, because you just effectively wasted a second round pick now. The GM says, oh, the price was too rich. Well, clearly it wasn't, because I think most of Philadelphia Eagles fans agree that you just wasted a second round pick on a guy that effectively isn't going to do anything for us right now. Doesn't have Carson Wentz. Just adds controversy. Imagine this for a second, because we have to recognize the climate that the Philadelphia Eagles are in. This is the most passionate fan base in the NFL. The most rabid fan base in the NFL. The fan base that is quickest to boo and turn on you. This is the same fan base that booed Santa Claus. And what do you think is going to happen when Carson Wentz throws a couple interceptions? Or if he has a bad game? Or he throws a few incompletions? Or he fumbles the ball? What do you think is going to happen to that Philadelphia Eagles fan base then? I'm not going to do it because I'm not crazy like some of these other fans. I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy to think that Jalen Hurts should come in for Carson Wentz ever. Never. I would never do that. But what do you think is going to happen to some of those unreasonable fans? They're going to be like, put Jalen Hurts in the game. And you're going to have a whole controversy on your hands. The Eagles didn't think this through. They just has got to be a good teammate, leadership, scheme, creativity. What are you thinking? And what creativity on offense? Doug Peterson, your offense was suspect last year. You were struggling to score. In the year before, you were struggling to score. Carson Wentz's rookie year, you were struggling to score. The only year your offense was explosive was 2017 when you won the Super Bowl. So there's creativity on offense. I'm still waiting to see it. Other than the Philly special, what creativity do you have on offense? I haven't seen it. I'm still waiting on it. Carson Wentz gets a backup. Doug Peterson can't have someone else call plays. That don't make no sense to me. What the heck has Doug Peterson done in the last few years to not deserve someone else calling plays? He just gets to wield his own power and have his own offense all to himself. Don't need no offensive coordinator. Well, your offense is struggling. You don't think you need someone else in your ear to call plays? This one you're most successful when you have Frank Reich. Seems like he was more of a genius than we all thought. Maybe it wasn't Doug Peterson. I don't know. We don't know. But all I know is my quarterback has not been put in the correct positions to succeed. Well, I'm looking at these wide receivers that the Eagles have drafted. Don't even get me started. I mean, give me a break. The receivers that Carson Wentz has had to throw to is a joke. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, 10 receptions last year, a high second-round pick. Mac Hollins had more penalty yards than receiving yards and was praised by the wide receivers coach at one point for lining up and assigning right and not catching the freaking football. Shelton Gibson, he's not even in the NFL anymore. Nelson Aguilar had the fireman make a joke about him catching babies out of burning buildings. I'm like, Aguilar? A viral sensation. Aguilar so bad he signed a 1-year deal with the Raiders. Shows how overpaid he was on the Eagles, making $9.4 million last year. Don't even get me started on the receivers that led the league in drops in 2016. Paul Turner, Jordan Matthews, Nelson Aguilar, Bryce Treggs, Shelton Gibson, Dorial Green, Beckham, Paul Turner. Dudes that aren't in the league anymore. Yet Dak Prescott's over here getting CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. Drew Lock has receivers of Cortland Sutton, or Sutland, whatever his name is, Jerry Jeudy, and now KJ Hamler. And who does Carson Wentz have to throw the football to? A broken down Alshon Jeffrey, an old Deshaun Jackson, who I believe will play more than 10 plus games because he's done it every year in his career except once. Jalen Reagor, Deontay Burnett, Greg Ward. What? That's not competence. You kidding me? Everyone will be like, oh, you got Zach Ertz. You got Dallas Goedert. And the Eagles were the slowest and most methodical offense in the league last year. And you know what happens when you're the slowest and most methodical offense in the league? You have to have perfect drives. 8, 9, 10, 11 play drives. And that's not how you can consistently score touchdowns in the NFL. You have to have explosive playmakers. The Chiefs just showed it. The 49ers just showed it with the run and pass game. Dallas is loading up on receivers, got 3 bona fide receivers now. And the Eagles want to stick in 12 personnel with Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. I think Zach Ertz got to be traded. I'm sorry. But we're never going to know how good Dallas Goedert is with him being in Zach Ertz's shadow. And you invested a high second round pick in him. So you can't just let him walk out the door. I mean, these are things you just got to think about. I just can't get my mind wrapped around the fact that we drafted a quarterback and we have a $100 million investment made in our quarterback and we haven't given him anything except one receiver over the whole offseason. The Eagles lost about 4 or 5 games because of their receivers. Aguilar and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside dropped the Falcons and Lions games respectively. Aguilar also dropped the New England Patriots game. Don't even get me started on the 4 or 5 drops that happened in the Vikings game where we got shellacked by Kirk Cousins. I just can't fathom this right now. In my mind right now, I can't wrap my mind around the fact that we don't have Jalen Reagor and Denzel Mims as our receivers in this draft. And then you didn't even draft a receiver with the 3rd round pick. That's basically a 4th round pick because it was one of the last 5 picks in the 3rd round. So it's essentially a high 4th round pick in my eyes. All the value went off the board. You didn't have any middle round. You only had 2 day 2 picks. So what could you do? You couldn't trade up. You couldn't do anything. And what am I supposed to expect tomorrow? What am I supposed to expect on day 3 of the draft? How is this? Oh, we're going to fill the rest of our needs with 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round draft picks. The hit rate on a 1st round draft pick is 50%. What do you think it is when you get to the 2nd, 3rd, and 3rd rounds? And then once you get to the 4th to 7th rounds, what do you think you're going to get? You think you're going to get a George Kittle in the 5th round? Or Cam Chancellor? Or Richard Sherman? Or Matt Breida? What do you think? You think you're just going to draft a bunch of steals now? I don't know what the Eagles are doing. It doesn't make any sense. Jim Schwartz is running the Eagles apparently because all the free agency decisions and draft decisions have been made on defense basically. Carson Wentz just doesn't matter. They're drafting backup quarterbacks who aren't going to do anything for us in the immediate future. Who even came up with this idea? Harry Rosen says we want to be a factory for quarterbacks. Well, if you want to be a factory for quarterbacks and developing quarterbacks, go be a college football coach. If you want to develop quarterbacks, go scout some guys in the high school rankings and bring them to your program and develop them there for over 3 or 4 years. Since you want to develop quarterbacks, have a quarterback factory. I ain't never heard nothing like that in the NFL. NFL is about adding talent, scheming guys open, winning. And the Eagles don't have that. The name of the game now, if you don't have in today's modern NFL, it is a passing game. And that goes for offense and defense. If you can't stop the pass and if you can't pass the ball, you're not going to win. And the Eagles don't have a competent passing game right now. Last year it was just Zach Ertz or Miles Sanders or bust. And that's not going to work again this year. Teams could just load up on the middle of the field with cover 3 and cover 2. In hybrid coverages, they're going to take away the middle of the field. Or just lock up and play man because our receivers can't get open. They're not that good route runners. The talent's not there. I just don't get it. I don't get what the Eagles were watching this past 16-game season when we were getting shellacked by teams, when we were giving up explosive plays and not having explosive plays on offense. Denzel Mims, 6'3", runs a 4.39, and you didn't choose him? Right there in your grasp. Or Christian Fulton, someone to stop explosive plays. Somebody. Jalen Hurts? This is a joke. This is why the GM has to be fired. What has he done? What have you done for the quarterback? You didn't get CeeDee Lamb. You effectively wasted a second-round pick, and that second-round pick could have been used to trade it for CeeDee Lamb. You said the price was too high because you didn't want to give a day 2 pick. Well, you should have. For the best receiver in the draft, for you to waste it on a quarterback? I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb and that linebacker we just took right now instead of Jalen Reagor and Jalen Hurts. No disrespect to Jalen Reagor. I like him, but I think we reached for him because he was more fit than need. We chose the fit over the more talented person because Justin Jefferson was the more talented guy, the more productive guy. But Jalen Reagor fit better because we need speed on the outside. And Justin Jefferson is primarily a slot guy. And so you're going to try to figure out how to fit him in with Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, who are already slot guys. And you're going to have Justin Jefferson playing the slot too. That's not going to work. You still don't have any outside threats. Teams are still going to pack the middle of the field. So you had to get Jalen Reagor to open up the middle of the field. He can attack the defense at all 3 levels. And give Goddard and Ertz space. And Alshon space as a possession receiver. And Deshaun Jackson can take the top off the coverage too. But that's if everything goes right. Everything hasn't gone right for the Eagles the past 2 years as far as injuries are concerned. Because they're running a retirement home for players. This just doesn't make any sense to me. You don't help out the quarterback mentally or physically by giving him receivers. You take him out mentally because you're undermining his success in the shadow he just got out of Nick Foles' shadow. You undermine his injury history by saying you're clearly worried about if you drafted a quarterback in the second round. The second round. That's high value. I don't care what they say. It just doesn't make any sense. You wasted a second round pick in a depth and extremely rich draft on a QB who's not going to play more than 5% to 10% of the snaps, potentially. If I'm Carson Wentz, I'm demanding a trade. I'm sorry. This is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. The Eagles could have gotten a quality backup in free agency. There's plenty of free agent quarterbacks that they could have gotten that wouldn't have costed a second round pick. Cam Newton's a free agent. Joe Flacco, Josh McCown, Jameis Winston, Matt Moore. Those guys are backups. Or those guys are free agents, not backups, some of them. But those guys are free agents. You didn't need to draft a backup QB with a second overall pick. So you're copying after the Saints. Doug Peterson isn't nearly even half the play caller that Sean Payton is. Sean Payton is a masterful play caller. Doug Peterson ain't even in his class. So let's get that straight right away. Boy, this just don't make sense to me, man. It just don't make sense. I can't wrap my mind to make it make sense. I don't care what the Eagles say. This doesn't make sense. This is an F draft grade right now, as far as I'm concerned, at least for this pick. Jalen Reagor, I'll give him a B. CeeDee Lamb would have been an A+, slam dunk, home run. And that on top of that, Jalen Hurts doesn't even know what his role is going to be with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's no plan. There's no vision involved. You just chose a high character guy who has leadership qualities and good intangibles. And is a good locker room guy. Great. Fantastic. Let him go play somewhere else. Or draft him in the 4th round or the 5th round, not the 2nd round. I just don't get it, man. Why do the Eagles continuously make us suffer with their foolish draft picks? Why do they continuously do this to us? It's like they just don't know how to build a team. It's like their heads got so full of it when they won that Super Bowl, which looks more fluky by the day. That was an anomaly. Lightning in a bottle. And I appreciate that we won the Super Bowl. But this is just ridiculous. Everything that's transpired since is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous. The controversy between Nick Foles and Carson Wentz, the fact that people in the fan base wanted to trade him, people within the organization wanted to trade Wentz and keep Foles. You're not drafting receivers to help out your quarterback. Who's the Carson Wentz supposed to throw it to, himself? Then he gets through the season, wins over the locker room, performs stellar under all the circumstances against him, with no receivers, dudes on the line hurt, the defense playing like trash. He still gets this sorry team into the playoffs, which I still don't know how he did it. I still can't even wrap my mind around the fact that, wow, he got Deontay Burnett and Greg Ward and Robert Davis. He got those guys into the playoffs. How did he do? I'm still trying to figure that out. And for you to undermine all of that because of a cheap shot, it just doesn't make any sense. This is unforgivable to me. Howie Roseman's got to be fired. Because I just don't see how the competency of him in these draft picks is unacceptable. We have no young talent on the team. And I'm not counting right now because I'm talking about previous drafts, not right now. Previous drafts. We have no young talent on the team. Derek Barnett, he's okay, but he's not with a first round pick. He hasn't lived up to those expectations. Then the other years you didn't have a first round pick and then you missed on players left and right. Donald Humphreys, you got Shelton Gibsons, you got Mac Hollins, you got JJ Arcega-Whiteside, you hit on Miles Sanders. Congratulations, a running back. Ooh. Those are immediate contributors. A running back's either going to be good or it's not. It's not a position where you have to draft and develop and all that stuff. It's like running backs can hit the ground running in the NFL. So I'm not sure how much credit I give you for that. But I guess since you're the GM, I'll give you some. But then you use a first round pick on Andre Dillard, who you were potentially dangling in trade offers. When you already had a Hall of Fame left tackle, you drafted him last year with DK Metcalf, Marquise Brown, Terry McLaurin, Darius Slayton, AJ Brown on the board at receiver. At what point? When is Carson Wentz going to be invested in? That's just my overall takeaway. When is Carson Wentz going to be invested in? Because you've given him nothing. All he has is Zach Ertz and Miles Sanders. At one point last year, Miles Sanders was the Eagles' best deep threat. A running back wheel route was their best deep threat option. Boy. I mean, you know it's bad when the Eagles had to have all three guys, the VP, Director of Player Personnel, Howie Roseman, the GM, and Doug Peterson. They had to come on have a live interview on the live stream to come explain their pick because they knew what they were doing. They knew this was going to be controversial, and they did it anyways. This is not good. I can only imagine how the Philadelphia media is going to eat this up. I'm only in Florida talking about this. I can't imagine being in the city of Philadelphia right now. I can't imagine. But I know one thing, Philadelphia Eagles fans, they're not happy. My mom's not even happy. This is ridiculous. It's just... GM's got to be fired. At some point when you're not helping out the quarterback, you're just not doing your job. If you've invested $100 million in something, you're not taking care of it, you're not giving it what it needs, you got to be fired. Howie Roseman's overrated as a GM. You didn't want to trade 2 first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey. You didn't trade a first-round pick for DeAndre Hopkins. You didn't get Brandon Cooks. You didn't want to trade to get CeeDee Lamb. I mean, dang, when are we going to get some elite players at the wide receiver position? Or just the corner position, any position? I mean, you got Darius Slay, so I'll give you that. But dang. At what point do you give up some draft picks? It's worked out fine for Dallas. They traded a first for Amari Cooper, and now they spent a first-round pick on CeeDee Lamb. How do you plan on stopping that next year? Is Jalen Hurts going to guard CeeDee Lamb? Is he going to guard Amari Cooper? What about Michael Gallup? Is he going to fit the run against Ezekiel Elliott? Is he going to catch passes from Carson Wentz? 9 wide receiver snaps? Oh, no, my fault. They're going to move Carson Wentz to D-line. My fault. He's got that all-pro potential, baby. Let's go. Eagles are... This is a mess right now. This is a mess. I don't know how Carson Wentz is going to do this. It seems like the Eagles just love putting him in these precarious predicaments where he has to overcome all these obstacles. I just don't understand it. He validated why you chose him to be the number 2 pick. He overcame the Nick Foles drama. He overcame the injury bug, and I don't even know why people call him injury prone. He's only missed 8 games his entire career, but he's injury prone. Okay, whatever. He overcame that and got cheap shot in the playoff game. And now this is what they do to him. They just... Man, I can't even say... I hope the Eagles know what they're doing. Or I give them the benefit of the doubt. I can't give them the benefit of the doubt because this pick makes no sense. And with this pick making no sense, it just makes me feel even worse that we didn't trade up for CeeDee Lamb because we basically just wasted this 2nd round pick as far as I'm concerned. And then you spend a 3rd round pick on a linebacker. The only receiver left in the draft that I feel has any credibility is Antonio Gandy Golden from Liberty. It's the only receiver I feel comfortable saying if he's on the Eagles, I feel like we have a decent receiving core. But I can't count on the Eagles to do that. They misevaluate talent all over the place. Thought Sidney Jones was a 1st round pick. See how he does. Getting roasted all over the field consistently. I just can't fathom how the Eagles were sitting there watching Oklahoma. I just can't fathom this. The Eagles were sitting there watching Oklahoma tape and came away from it thinking, we got to have that Jalen Hurts guy. We don't need that CeeDee Lamb guy. Forget about Carson Wentz and him throwing to CeeDee Lamb. We need Jalen Hurts. That guy, he's a mon. That doesn't add up to me. That does not add up at all. There's no way that the Eagles can explain this. I don't care what they have to say. Man started 17 games last year. Now they're concerned about him being injury prone or him being injured. So they drafted a quarterback in the 2nd round, a guy that probably would have been there in the 3rd round or the 4th round. 2nd and 3rd rounds where you get contributors for your football team. What the heck is Jalen Hurts going to do for us next year? Not much of anything. This is ridiculous. I just can't share my thoughts, man. I know I haven't been on here in a while. Y'all probably missed me, probably haven't. Either way, I had to come and give my thoughts about this, man, because this is just a train wreck of a move. I just don't know what the heck the Eagles were thinking. I just don't know what could have possibly been going on in their heads to make this kind of move. This is unforgivable. It's unforgivable because this is forever going to be etched in Philadelphia Eagles fans' minds. That we could have Denzel Mims or even we could have Denzel Mims and Jalen Reagor, or we could have CeeDee Lamb. That's forever going to be entrenched in our minds. But instead, you chose Jalen Hurts over those guys. Now, granted, if you trade up and you get CeeDee Lamb, you don't have Jalen Reagor and Denzel Mims. But even if you don't get CeeDee Lamb, you still have Jalen Reagor and you get Denzel Mims, I feel good about that. I feel great about that, matter of fact. You put those two together, that's an A to me. The Eagles have an A right now in the draft, and then they get that linebacker. The Eagles are knocking it out the park. But right now, they don't have anything. All they have is a receiver, and that's the only thing they've done for their quarterback. They've done how many things for the defense and Jim Schwartz? Darius Slade, Javon Hargrave, Resign McLeod and Mills, Jatavius Brown, and now they drafted a linebacker in the third round. They've done 6 things for the defense and 1 thing for the offense in Carson Wentz. So basically, you're bringing back the same offense that was not good last year. Bringing that this year, the only thing you're doing is adding a rookie receiver, and you're relying on him to make the difference. In a receiver deep draft, you come away with 1 receiver potentially. That's going to be it. You're relying on rounds 4 through 7 to fill the rest of your needs and get quality players when you've misevaluated talent all over the place. Yeah, I don't trust the Eagles. I'm done with everybody in the Eagles except for Carson Wentz, as far as I'm concerned. They've severely screwed this man over. They've done a disservice to this man. The GM has done a disservice to this man. It's time for he pays for his crimes now and his crimes today, or his crimes in the past and his crimes now. He's got to be fired, as far as I'm concerned. This was the last straw to me. This is a fireable offense. At some point, I just can't take it anymore. Eagles fans shouldn't be able to take this foolishness anymore either. I'm just saying. At some point, enough's enough. But I just can't give my thoughts. Wasn't 45, 50 minutes. I didn't expect it to be. But I appreciate you guys for listening. I just had to come and share my thoughts. Sign my petition to fire Howie Roseman. Please, help a brother out. I'm in pain. I'm suffering right now. You may not think it's a big deal. You may say it's only football, but it's more than football to me. It's more than football to this Philadelphia Eagles fan base. Help us out. Thank you for listening. This is AC, man. I'll see y'all hopefully when this draft is over, maybe. I'll have nothing negative to say about the Steelers because they're doing what they're supposed to do. Got Chase Claypool. I love that pick. But needless to say, I appreciate y'all for listening. This is AC signing off. See you when I see you.